Good morning, good evening, good afternoon if you're watching this in the middle of the day. This is a video about instructions for the current events project. Okay, this is a very small assignment, 3 pages assignment of writing, plus a short 10-sentence oral presentation. Very fast, very short, easy, simple assignment. But we're going to go through the instructions really carefully to give you an example, to make it clear, to make sure there's no confusion. Here we go. You can find the assignments here in Teams. You may also have a paper copy. Here in Teams, it's called Opinion News, Current Events, Finding Perspectives. Now I'm going to click there in a second. Now I've gone through there really fast through Teams to hide private student information. And now we get to what looks like the student view. If you are interested in playing around with a feature called Immersive Reader, it's located up here in the corner. Students will also have a button here for turn in if you're turning in the assignment digitally for some reason. Like say, for example, you're unable to come into the building with a paper copy, you need to turn in it digitally. There's an option there available for that. Okay, let's take a look at Immersive Reader while we've got it open. Here you can get it to read by clicking this button here. We'll come back to that in a second. Okay, so if I was to read this, it would say Opinion News Current Events. Let's see how it sounds with Immersive Reader.
Opinion News Current Events Finding Perspectives. Due May 4th, 2021, 12:30 p.m. Instructions. Opinion News Current Events Finding Perspectives. This is about choosing a topic about a news issues that has a clear and strong perspective and bias. You will need a debatable issue in your news article. Example of a less debatable issue: people should celebrate Mother's Day by doing something for their mother, buying something for their mother, or talking to their mother. This is not very debatable because not enough people would disagree. Find an article with a clear and strong opinion. You will present by reading page 1 and page 3 on Tuesday, May 4th, 2021. You only need to read 10 sentences.
Alright, you get the idea of Immersive Reader. It can read you the instructions. It can also read you the instructions in the Word document. We'll take a quick look at the Word document here. In the Word document, you've got an idea of how you will be marked in this top section here. This is called a rubric. The first part is criteria A. The bottom here is criteria D. Let's take a look at level 5-6. 5-6 students, good use of details and terms. And then for critical thinking, 5-6, clear opinion, at least 3 supporting points, well explained, and can identify the author's bias and explain how they identify the author's bias. One way you could do that is by finding a sentence with a quote saying, this sentence here, in quotations, shows that the author's bias is X, Y, or Z. Quotations is a good way to clarify in here. Okay, topics. So COVID-19 is an optional topic, but any of these other topics are also possible topics, like politics, democracy, human rights law, a political party leader, a political scandal, social policy, educational policy, health policy. A lot of flexibility, but the key thing is it has to be debatable, it has to be controversial, and you have to be able to find the opinion of the author for the purpose of this project to identify a perspective. Okay, advanced students might go further and identify and clarify the perspective with words like socialism or capitalism or left wing or right wing, but it can be as simple as this author likes this politician's policy and this author does not like this politician's policy. That can also be acceptable. Okay, so here, number 1, the title of the article is blank. What is the article about in 1 sentence? Who was the author of your article, etc. So these would be about 6 sentences that you would read for your presentation, and then you would go to page 3 and skip page 2 for your oral presentation, but you would complete page 2 in writing. Okay, page 2 is a summary of your article. This is the part you skip for your oral presentation, and you to summarize the article in your own words. Page 3, you're going to have a section where you have your opinion. I agree or I disagree with the author because 1, 2, 3. You want to have about 3 reasons why. And then you want to clearly identify the author's issue here. The author's bias is X, Y, and Z. They like this or they don't like this. They want to cut down trees. They don't want to cut down trees. They want more oil pipelines or they do not want more oil pipelines. They want testing on animals or they do not want testing on animals. And then find a sentence, if you can, a quote to show this author has this bias because of this sentence. I can see the author's bias. Alrighty. So you can also use Immersive Reader within the Word document to get it to read it to you if you so choose.
Critical thinking section, Criteria D. 2. Write a short 4 to 6 sentence paragraph about the author's bias. Who wrote the article? What is the name of the author and what was the bias of the author on this issue? What action or policy change does the author want? Which sentence or phrase of the article gave you a clue to the bias/opinion of the author? Quote the sentence or phrase.
Okay, you get the idea about that. Now we're going to take a look at evaluation in the criteria language. So I'm going to leave this and come back to this page about the assignment in student view. And I'm going to scroll down here, and here it says rubric. If you want more information, rather than just a summary, you can see the IB/MYP language on the rubric here. Criteria A1. This is about terminology. And then we're going to go down to D1. This is critical thinking. So let's go with 5-6 level and take a look at that. Discusses concepts, issues, models, visual representation, and theories. Then we'll go down to D2. Synthesize information to make valid, well-supported arguments. That means make connections, is a way you could simplify or summarize that. Also to have supporting arguments to explain why you have your opinion, using the words because. For example, I have this opinion because, or this is my opinion because. Something clear where you clearly state your opinion, and then you also clearly state why you have it. And then for the next section, criteria D4, interpret different perspectives and their implications. Let's start with level 1, 2, identify different perspectives and minimal implications. So you just want to basically find 1 or 2 perspectives. Level 3, 4, interprets different perspectives and some of their implications. And 5, 6, interprets different perspectives and their implications. So what does it mean with this perspective? If we build more pipelines, what's the implication for Canadians, Canada, and the environment for building more pipelines and the world? Okay, so the implications are the connections for the course of action. Let's take another look at this through Google now. How do we search for a topic? We could put in news, opinion, and then some other words. Say if we want to look at Doug Ford, we could add a name like that. And you can find Doug Ford must resign. So there's a clear opinion right in the title. That's making that an easier article to use. Now, that may not be the topic that interests you, but that gives you an idea that news opinion is something to get started that you could put into Google. Now, up here, I found this article, opinion. Notice it's got the word opinion here that I'm highlighting in blue. Trudeau budget packed with poor policy. So again, right in the title, it shows that the policy the person who wrote this doesn't like. Who wrote this? Well, we've got 2 authors, Alex Whalen and Jake Fuss are 2 authors here. The date is April 19th, 2021, 21 hours ago. And we can read about their opinion about why they do not like the policy of this budget, criticizing both Trudeau and his policy, which means they probably do not like Trudeau, they do not like the Liberal government, and they do not like the policy in this budget, which means because they don't like it, they have a different point of view. What is their point of view, though? Is it because they want it to be more left or more right? more socialist or more capitalist? And that gets into a little bit of an advanced search. We can see their perspective. They don't like Trudeau, but more advanced is what do they like instead of Trudeau's policy? And you would have to read through this to dig and try and find that piece of information. So you can see how it gets more complicated to think about what they don't like and what they do like are two different things. Okay. Let's take a look at another example over here, a harder one. What is this? This is Maclean's Liberal. Oops, it just jumped on me. And an ad popped up. The Liberal Convention Everything Now. And we could dig through this to try and find the opinion in this one. Let's go back to the top of this one here, just to show you what you would need to record in your sources. This is the title here. This is the publisher, the Toronto Sun. And Alex Whalen and Jake Fuss are the authors. And over here is the date. So those are the key pieces of information that you would need from this source. All right, so those are some examples of an article. Now let's take a look at this one that's harder. Actually, maybe let's go back here one level and see what we find. Okay, so we got Maclean's, we've got budget, we got the Liberal Convention Everything Now, we got Justin Trudeau convention speech, we got is the Liberal tent big enough, we got the Biden plan and the Trudeau president. So we could take a look at, say, this article, and this one's by Paul Wells. It's got the date here, the title is here, and the publisher is Maclean's. Paul Wells, America's massive new infrastructure plan is a lot like Canada's. So it's great to have Canadian content, but some people are also interested in the United States of America, which comparing the two countries is a valid way to connect to Canadian content while looking at some of the stuff going on in the United States. So what's going on here? We'd have to dig through here. It's a bold, potentially historic move whose results could shape the country's future, political, economic for generations. Okay, the Washington Post editorial board says. So one way that an author may introduce their opinion, if they're trying to hide their opinion, is by quoting the opinion of other people. Here, the author is quoting the opinion of the Washington Post editorial board. Now the question is, does the author agree with this opinion that they're quoting, or do they have a different opinion? Read a little further. That paper columnist outside Pittsburgh launched a months-long effort that will test whether our government is still capable of doing big things. Skip the ad. It sure is big. We'll skip this section. Much of this list will be familiar to anyone who's been following federal politics in Canada in recent years. One of the Trudeau's government's biggest areas of effort has been in infrastructure, mostly through the $188 billion Investing in Canada plan, launched in 2016. Okay. It's a bit of a theological question. Which country will be spending faster relative to the size of the economy? If Biden plan passes, it depends on how much each government's plan you count as infrastructure. It's a strange use of the word theological, not used in the usual way, used in a bit of a poetic license, but going on. Oh, I see. So it depends on how much of each government's plan you count as infrastructure, how much of it is social, and how much of it is green. So it's a guess they're getting into. It's a debatable on the title of the plan and the purpose of the plan. All right. So that gives you some example of digging through an article to find the opinion parts. And if we scroll down to the end of an article, sometimes in the last paragraph, you will find more opinion. This is how the Trudeau Liberals act when when a project is their highest priority. The Americans had better hope Joe Biden isn't imitating Canada. So there's some conclusion here. That's an interesting read as well. All right, so to summarize, we'll go back to this one here. To start off, you put in the words news opinion into Google, and then you will find opinion type news, and then you can add words, keywords to help you with your search to find an interesting article. Thank you for your time and attention. Have a great night. Oh, also, if you have any questions, you can get a hold of me at my email. You know my email. My email is also on Microsoft Teams. You can also get a hold of me on Microsoft Teams on chat. Thank you for your time, for listening to this entire video.